Joe Carter in right field. So a good defensive outfield for the Blue Jays. On the infield, Kelly Gruber at third base. Manuel Lee, the shortstop, his first outing last night in 3 weeks. He was on the DL. Roberto Alomar, the second baseman, and John Olerud at first. Pat Borders will be behind the plate. And Juan Guzman with a 15-5 record. And talking to Cito Gaston before the game, Cito telling us that you can look for a fastball and a changeup off of Guzman, but he has had a very difficult time getting his slider over the plate. And in order to be effective against the Tigers, you have to throw your breaking balls over.
And the man who will be deciding whether or not the breaking balls are over is home plate umpire Vic Voltaggio. Mark Johnson calls the plays at first, Jim McKean, the crew chief, at second, and Ken Kaiser at third. As always, a sellout crowd on hand here at the Sky Dome, hoping that in about 3 hours from now they'll be celebrating a division title for the homestanding Blue Jays. Tony Phillips in center field this afternoon, hitting .277. 10 homers, 64 runs batted in. Lou Whitaker and Travis Bryman to follow in the top of the first. The first pitch from Guzman, fastball high for ball one.
See that crouch batting stance of Tony Phillips, a very difficult target to throw strikes to. He has walked 113 times this year. That's third in the American League.
Up in the direction of Kelly Gruber. One away. Stepping in, Lou Whitaker. Enjoying one of his finest seasons. .281 his average. 19 homers and 71 runs driven in. Squares the bunt and takes the ball high and tight.
For 19 years, whenever you mention Lou Whitaker's name, you automatically mention Alan Trammell's name. They had played together 1,741 games together, those two, but Trammell out and has been out for most of the season. Only 120 at-bats this year for Alan Trammell.
Those games together for Trammell and Whitaker, the fourth highest total of games together for teammates in American League history. The all-time leaders, interestingly enough, George Brett in the news this week with his 3,000th hit, and Frank White. They played in 1,914 games together for the Kansas City Royals. Popped up straight back and heading out of play. No chance for Pat Borders. We mentioned when we were here 2 weeks ago for the game between Texas and Toronto that this is a difficult pitching staff to handle as a catcher. Juan Guzman, a lot of balls in the dirt. Jack Morris, the fork ball. David Cohn tends to bounce pitches up there, and Pat Borders deserves a lot of credit for the job he has done with this staff this season.
It's easier, however, to catch Guzman now since he doesn't have a slider and hasn't been throwing a slider.
Alomar, a long way to go to his right to make the play. He was the Gold Glove winner a year ago, and he'll likely add another in this offseason.
People up here in Toronto love to see this guy play, and with good reason. He and Jose Lind of the Pittsburgh Pirates, I guess, two second basemen. When you think of the word range, you think of those two guys automatically. Lind and Alomar. Nice play by Roberto Alomar.
Travis Bryman has been tiring down the stretch. He's played in every game since the first weekend of the season. His average has dipped to .266. And the runs batted in have been hard to come by lately for the 23-year-old All-Star.
When you're 23, you don't tire. 23-year-olds never get tired.
0-2 the count.
That obviously a fallacy, and managers are understanding that now. You rarely see players playing in 162 games anymore.
Fryman has played in 158 complete games. That's most in the major leagues. The rare slider of late from Guzman missed. I thought it was interesting what Sparky had to say on the pregame show. There is no joy in being the spoiler. All that means is you've had a lousy year. We gladly switch places with your opponents in a moment. The 2-2. Fastball got him. Late swings by Fryman when Guzman threw him the fastball. Juan works an impressive 1-2-3 first. After half an inning, the Tigers nothing, and Toronto coming up. The Tigers did not score in the top of the first. They have David Haas on the mound in the bottom of the first, getting ready to face the Toronto Blue Jays. Haas brings a record of 5-2 into today's action with an ERA of under 4. And the Toronto lineup that he will face this afternoon has Devon White leading off in center field. Roberto Alomar is the second baseman. Joe Carter in right field. The cleanup hitter, the birthday boy in DH, Dave Winfield. John Olerud bats fifth at first base. Candy Maldonado in left field, batting seventh, the third baseman Kelly Gruber. The catcher, Pat Borders, bats eighth, and batting ninth, the shortstop, Manuel Lee.
And the defense for the Tigers, Dan Gladden in left field, Tony Phillips, a fine utility player in center, Rob Deere in right, Scott Livingstone, the third baseman, Travis Fryman, the shortstop, Lou Whitaker at second, Cecil Fielder at first, Mickey Tettleton behind the plate to catch Haas.
And Devon White leads off, switch hitting center fielder. Batting .246 overall. He pulled the first pitch foul. Haas, a product of Wichita State and the Shockers' fine baseball program. He's from Independence, Missouri. 1-1 on White, riding a 5-game hitting streak is Devon. Hit in 6 in a row. He's been coming on lately. His average .246 starting the day. Not all that impressive, but it's the highest it's been since July 9th.
Hit hard up the middle, and that's what you want to do to a sinker ball like Haas throws. David Haas, not an overpowering pitcher. A sinker ball, and talking to Billy Moffitt, the pitching coach of the Tigers before the game, telling me that it's a rare combination of having a sinker curveball as opposed to the more common sinker slider tandem.
White very much a threat to run. He has 37 steals. He's only been thrown out 4 times. That's the second best success ratio for stolen bases in the American League this year. Only Henry Cotto of Seattle has been more successful. He's 23 of 25. Alomar tried to bunt. He fouled it back to the backstop, and the count is 0-2. Rich Hacker is the third base coach for Toronto. He'll celebrate a birthday, his 45th, later in the week. Pitch out on 0-2, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Not much difference for the switch hitting Alomar, right-handed as compared to left-handed.
Another pitch out. remember Dick Grote, formerly a great shortstop with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the MVP in the National League in 1960 when they were the world champions, used to tell me that the 1-ball, 2-strike count was the best pitch on which to hit and run. Maybe Mickey Tettleton was thinking that way then.
White not running. Alomar to left field, and Gladden there to make the catch.
The reason for that, in Grote's theory and theorizing about a hit and run, was that with 1 ball and 2 strikes, that was the time the pitcher and the catcher wanted to go after the hitter. You didn't want to waste the pitch. 0-2, you waste 1. You don't want the count to go to 2-2. So since you're going to throw a strike, contact situation, good time to do it.
Wouldn't the 2-2 pitch then have been a good one for Devon White?
Yeah. If your thinking's that way, because there's no way that Detroit's going to pitch out 3 times in a row.
Joe Carter at the plate with White at first and 1 out. In the bottom of the first, no score.
Other way.
Another pitch up. White still not running. Carter drills one to deep center. Phillips on the run to the warning track. What is it? Still no call. Now the home run call is made. Second base umpire Jim McKean yielded to first base umpire Mark Johnson, who correctly made the call. It hit the black backdrop beyond the 400 mark. A 2-run homer for Carter, and the Blue Jays are on top of the first inning.
Soft cap. So tough on the guy with the soft cap.
Number 34 for Carter. He has now driven in 119. And Toronto has a 2-0 lead.
That ball low and away to Joe Carter, and he hit it 420 feet. Takes awesome strength to do that. The ball's inside and you hit it out, then you're using your body to hit it out. When you hit a ball outside over the center field fence or the other way, for the most part, you're using your arms only. Carter's got strong arms. Everybody knows that, and that's why American League pitchers try to pitch him inside, but that pitch from Haas outside, and Carter burned him.
Brewers already on the board in the top of the first. Sacrifice fly by Robin Yount provided the Milwaukee Brewers with their run. Carter with 34 homers now, tied for 4th in the league with Albert Bell of Cleveland.
Let's take a look at the home run by Joe Carter to put the Blue Jays up 2-0. Watch where the pitch is.
119 runs batted in for Joe, now 5 behind the league leader, Cecil Fielder. After the strikeout of Winfield, 2 down, the bases empty, and the batter is John Olerud, hitting .286 with 16 round trippers and 66 knocked in. Changeup in for a strike. The Blue Jays jumped ahead 6-1 last night, held on for an 8-7 win. It was the long ball that got them off and running against Bill Gullickson. Last night they hit 3 home runs off Gullickson, who has now surrendered 35 homers this year in building that 6-1 lead. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Olerud. Check swing, Tapper back to the mound. And Haas throws him out. But the Blue Jays score first in this one. Devon White singled and Joe Carter homered. And after one in Toronto, it's the Blue Jays 2 and the Tigers nothing.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of Major League Baseball.
2-0 Blue Jays because of Joe Carter's 34th home run of the year. And from another angle, watch Joe Carter use his arms only. Pretty good golf swing right there.
He hit it like one of my golf shots, too. 400 feet. That's...
Yeah, with his arms and no body, right?
That's right. When you translate that into yards, it's not very many. I won't embarrass myself by trying to figure it out. The average shot from the tee. Here's Cecil Fielder. And launched them a lot further than the home run we just saw from Carter. He's hit 35 out of the ballpark this year, and he leads the majors with 124 runs driven in.
Will be the third consecutive year that Cecil Fielder has led the majors in RBIs.
And he's the first player to do it since Babe Ruth led the majors 3 years in a row in runs batted in 1919, 20, and 21. No RBI that time. He's called out on strikes for the first out of the inning. Guzman blows him away on 3 pitches for his second strikeout of the afternoon.
From the roof, from our roof camera, let's see where it was on the plate. Threading the outside corner. You throw that hard with that location, and not a lot of guys are going to hit balls hard.
Mickey Tettleton. Switch hitting catcher. Looks at a ball low and in. Mickey hitting .239 overall. He's been a much stronger hitter from the right side of the plate. He's hitting .227 left-handed, .274 from the right, and a stronger hitter for average from the right side of the plate. But most of his home runs have come from the left because he's had far more at-bats left-handed. 24 of his home runs have come from the left side of the plate. A home run cut, fouled straight back.
Several years ago, when Mickey Tettleton started his home run barrage, and he was a late bloomer, it was a big thing in Baltimore when he was with them. And Mickey, every morning, he had his Fruit Loops. He has maintained that power in Detroit. Over 30 home runs, 2 consecutive years for the Tigers. Get that kind of production out of your catcher, and you're doing something. Tigers leading the American League in home runs this year with 182.
Three and one the count. The Blue Jays lead 2-0. We're in the top of the second. And now the count is full on Tettleton, who fouled one off his foot.
And you would think that a team with that much power, Sean, would be a good comeback team. But for the Tigers, not so.
Only once this year have the Tigers come back from a deficit of 3 runs or more. They almost did it last night. As a matter of fact, Sparky Anderson had Tettleton at the plate in the top of the 9th inning with his team trailing by 1 run last night and Cecil Fielder aboard. A home run from Mickey would have given the Tigers the lead, but Tettleton struck out against Tom Henke to reduce the magic number to 1 for Toronto. Devon White a long way in to make the running catch. Let's check in with Pat O'Brien in New York.
All right, Sean, thank you. Milwaukee at Oakland. The Brewers putting the pressure on. Top of the first, 1 out. Robin Yount sacrifices to right. He scores. Darrell Hamilton from third. Milwaukee leads 1-0 now in Oakland. First inning. Back to the Max Skydome.
Max Skydome.
The debate is it Skydome or the Skydome? We talked to 10 people in Toronto. You'll get 5 answers in favor of Skydome and 5 for the Skydome. Rob Deere doesn't really care which it is, but he's had a terrific year. 32 home runs, despite the fact that Rob has only played in 108 games. Breaking ball bounced way out in front of the plate. I thought the interesting thing to notice on Rob Deere's stat line, 32 homers, only 64 runs batted in. So he's driven himself in 32 times with the home runs. He's driven himself in as often as he has the rest of his teammates. 2 balls and 1 strike, 2 outs. The bases are empty. Juan Guzman has started this ball game by retiring the first 5 Tigers in a row. Popped up, and that will drift out of play.
Well, in Deere's case, you've got Cecil Fielder hitting in front of him. You've got Mickey Tettleton hitting in front of him. There aren't a lot of guys on base when he comes up. He's batting the 6th slot behind those 2 guys. One leading the majors in RBIs and the other one with over 32 home runs. It would probably be a better number 3 hitter, but he doesn't hit for a high enough average to hit the 3rd hole.
2-2 pitch. He struck him out. Another 1-2-3 inning for Guzman, including 2 strikeouts. After an inning and a half, 2-0 Toronto. Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver, delighted to have you with us for our final regular season telecast of the year on CBS. Toronto leading 2-0 with a win. The Blue Jays will wrap up the AL East title outright here this afternoon. Andy Maldonado, the batter. He's hitting .274 with 20 homers and 66 knocked in, facing David Haas, a late swing of the fastball for a strike. Right down the middle is Haas again. Oakland has taken a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the first from Milwaukee. A 2-run homer by Harold Baines and a solo home run, number 42, for Mark McGwire. They are still batting in the bottom of the first. Maldonado out on strikes for the first out of the inning and the second strikeout of the ball game for David Haas. Kelly Gruber. His numbers not what you would expect them to be at this time of the year, thanks in large part to a number of injuries that he has had to endure this season. Kelly said yesterday he's still bothered by a sore neck.
Might be from wearing that helmet he has on. Time tar on that thing to make your neck sore. He plays the game hard, you know, and I think his batting helmet indicative of that.
I asked him yesterday, I said, Kelly, can't you get a new batting helmet, a new hat in the field?
Is cleaned or something.
His hat in the field is just as dirty. He said, they just get dirty again. Why keep going through batting helmets and hats?
Here's a guy who plays on artificial surface, too. Think of what he'd look like if he played on dirt.
We wouldn't be able to see the logo or anything on that helmet. Maybe he has a few rug burns in addition to the dirt. Even though his offensive numbers have sagged, he continues to play an outstanding defensive third base. Kelly said yesterday the doctors tell him the only thing with the neck problem is extended rest. And he won't have that opportunity, he hopes, until late October. He dumps a base hit in the center. That's the 3rd Toronto hit. A runner with 1 out here in Toronto, and let's check in again with Pat O'Brien.
All right, Sean, thank you, and welcome to Home Run Derby at Oakland Coliseum. Back-to-back homers. Harold Baines, a 2-run shot off Ricky Bonas. Then on the next pitch, Mark McGwire with his 42nd. Back-to-back. Sorry, back to you, Sean.
And back to a tie for the league lead in home runs for Mark McGwire with 42, now tied with Juan Gonzalez of Texas. The Blue Jay catcher Pat Borders is at the plate with 1 out and a runner aboard in the Toronto second. The Blue Jays batting with a 2-0 lead. Borders batting .242. He's at 13 homers. All of them off right-handed pitches. Fastball missed. 2 balls, no strikes.
Sean, last inning you talked about the wearing down of Travis Fryman, his 158th game, 158 complete games that he's played for the year. Pat Borders, I think some of the wear and tear is really showing on him. He's hit 207 since September 1st, and that is usually the sign that a catcher has caught too many ball games.
Down to third. Livingstone. Low throw. Whitaker able to handle it. He took a pretty good bump from Gruber. They get just the 1 out at second for the 2nd out of the inning.
Interesting the ways that second basemen have in defending themselves. Sometimes they have the second base bag to defend themselves, and that's what Lou Whitaker was doing right there. Fine play by Whitaker, an in-between hop, and watch him use the bag to prevent Gruber from sliding hard into him. (2,052 games for Lou Whitaker. Only Charlie Gehringer has played more. He's a Hall of Famer.
He knows how to defend himself from the oncoming sliders. Manuel Lee, as Tim mentioned, returned to action last night for the first time since September 11th. He's been bothered by a left hamstring pull. They've been very careful to not rush Lee back into the lineup because Alfredo Griffin, the veteran, has been playing very well in Lee's absence. There hasn't been any need to rush Manuel Lee back.
Manuel's had a good year. You get that kind of production out of a shortstop, your number 9-hole hitter, batting almost 260. He's not striking out at the pace that he was last year. Over 100 strikeouts, I beg your pardon, only 72 this year. Much better left-handed batter, batting 280 from the left side. So I think the Blue Jays are very, very happy with Manuel Lee this year.
He's also been more patient. One thing Larry Heisel, the new hitting coach, has been working with these Blue Jay hitters on. Demonstration of the patience there is Lee draws his career high 49th walk of the season. The first thrown by Sparky Anderson starter, David Hahn. So first and second with 2 outs for the hot-hitting Devon White, who extended his hit streak to 6 games with a single. Starting the Toronto first, he scored on the home run by Carter. It's 2-0 Blue Jays in the bottom of the 2nd. White ahead of the off-speed pitch for strike 1.
David Haas, one of 5 rookies that have started for the Tigers this year. John Daugherty, John Kiley, Kurt Knudsen, and Buddy Groom. And they have a combined 18-16 record. Pretty good rookie crew.
Well hit, but well fouled.
Only Kansas City has more rookie pitchers with more wins. That's 19. So Detroit, lacking sorely for starting pitching in years past, finally have some rookies to hang their hats on.
Haas and Daugherty, the 1993 season were to start tomorrow, would be in the starting rotation next year for Sparky Anderson. He said he can't say that definitively right now because he doesn't know what maneuvering the Tigers will do in the offseason.
Actually, those 5 rookie pitchers, not all of them started, but their record in appearances was 18-16.
They've all pitched, and all pitched pretty well from time to time. Knudsen pitched very well last night in keeping the Tigers in the ballgame. The 1-2 to White, just inside. Off-speed pitch got him. White out in front of it again. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 3 through 2 innings for David Haas. After 2-0 Toronto. Battles of October begin here on CBS Sports on Tuesday night. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. The starters have been named. For Pittsburgh, it will be Doug Drabek, and for Atlanta, John Smoltz. 8:30 Eastern time for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series Tuesday night here on CBS. Ron Livingstone facing Juan Guzman, who has worked 2 perfect innings and is working with a 2-0 lead in the 3rd. Guzman will face Livingstone, Gladden, and Carrion, the bottom 3rd of the order here in the 3rd. Livingstone has played well this year, particularly of late. He was the Tigers' leading hitter in the month of September. He hit .348 for Detroit in September.
He's got a pretty good player. He only had 127 at-bats last year, so he still qualifies for a rookie. Rookie qualification, if you have more than 130 at-bats, you are no longer a rookie, so he made it by 3 at-bats.
He's ahead in the count here, 3-1. He's not likely to be the Tiger third baseman next year. Travis Fryman's going to be the shortstop, and it looks like Alan Trammell will make the shift to third base. Little lob down the left field line, slicing foul. No chance for Gruber or Lee. There's the dirt, not just on the helmet, but also on the cap he wears in the field. A lot to be said for consistency. Exactly what Kelly's saying to Ken Kaiser now. 3-2 pitch. That one will drift into seats. These fans erupted a moment ago during our commercial break. They showed the highlights of the home runs by Oakland that Pat O'Brien showed you moments ago and posted the score. Oakland leading Milwaukee 3-1. And game now in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And this crowd, well aware of the implications of that game, responded as you would expect.
What a remarkable game last night in Oakland. A game won by the Milwaukee Brewers 3-2 in 11 innings. A brilliant play by Robin Yount to save it in the 9th inning and kept the Brewers' hopes alive. I don't think you can say enough about what Phil Garner and his crew have done for the Milwaukee Brewers this year.
And they did it against Dennis Eckersley in the 9th inning. It looked like their season was over in terms of contention when they were trailing going into the 9th, but Eckersley blew the save. Oakland still 64-5 in games in which Eckersley has appeared.
Paul Molitor with a game-tying double in the 9th inning. And then they won it in 11 to keep the magic number at 1.
That made it a very late night for the Blue Jays. The manager and coaching staff, the front office people, they were scattered around the Toronto area. Some of the players at local night spots. The management and Cito Gaston watching the skybox here at Sky Dome, one of the wee hours of the morning. Alomar throws out Livingstone. We mentioned that Doug Drabek will be the starter for Pittsburgh in Game 1 of its rematch series with Atlanta. He was also the Game 1 starter last year, and against Tom Glavine in the 6th inning, he lined one over the head of Ron Gant and injured himself, a strained hamstring, as he tried to stretch the double into the triple. Drabek left the game, but was the winning pitcher in the 5-1 win.
He wasn't able to come back until Game 6. That was a game in which Steve Avery beat the Pirates 1-0.
Dan Gladden, the batter, at .257, 7 homers, 42 knocked in. 7 up and 7 down against Juan Guzman, and this could be a very important start for Guzman as the Blue Jays look toward the postseason. Still, the #1 subject of debate here in Toronto is who will be the Blue Jays starter for Game 3 if they do indeed win the American League East. Morris and Cone set for the first 2 games. The debate for Game 3 focuses on Guzman and Jimmy Peters. Guzman making a strong case for himself this afternoon. He's retired 8 in a row, 4 of them via the strikeout.
It's not only important for the Blue Jays to clinch it, but to clinch it in regulation time. If they go to Monday, they will play here on Monday night at 7 o'clock. Milwaukee Brewers and David Cone will be the pitcher for Toronto, and that would mean that he would start one of the first 2 games when they play on Wednesday and Thursday.
Not often you see the DH batting 9th, but that's the case for the Tigers today. Mark Carrion behind in the count 0-2.
Okay, if he keeps throwing like this, I don't think there'll be any question about who's going to be the Game 3 starter. He is blowing.
He's aware of what is at stake for him, not just for his team, but also for himself. 1, 2, 3 go the Tigers again. 2 more strikeouts for Guzman after 2.5. 2-0 Toronto. We'll return to Sky Dome after this message and a word from your local station. Bottom of the third, 2-0 Toronto. David Haas facing Roberto Alomar to lead off. Then Joe Carter and Dave Winfield to meet at the Toronto order coming up. Alomar line to left his first time up. And a strike, 2-1 on Alomar. Down to first, past the dive of fielder. That's the 4th hit for the Blue Jays. Tomorrow, it's NFL doubleheader action here on CBS. Most of you will see the Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings, while others will see regional action. The second half of the doubleheader features the Los Angeles Rams at San Francisco, plus other regional action. Check local listings for the game in your area. It all begins with the NFL Today, the last word before kickoff. That's tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern here on CBS Sports. The Blue Jays lead 2-0 thanks to the man at the plate. Joe Carter hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the first. It's straightaway center field. It was Carter's 34th home run. He has now knocked in 119 runs.
6 of his last 7 years with 100 or more RBIs. He had 98 last year. Make that 2 years ago. So 6 of his last 7 years with 100 or more RBIs.
Check swing, it's a ball. 2-0.
Hard to believe Joe Carter has been moved around as much as he has. He signed initially with the Cubs, then went to Cleveland and San Diego, and now with Toronto, and he's done very, very well every place he's gone.
He's the only player in baseball history to drive in 100 runs or more 3 years in a row with 3 different teams. Cleveland, San Diego, and Toronto. Over the last 7 years, with his 2 runs batted in today, Carter has knocked in 772 runs. Most by the majors, most in the majors over that span by any player, and over 7 seasons, that's the highest RBI total by any major leaguer in the last 25 years. Alomar with 47 stolen bases, running on the pitch. It's bounced to third. Livingstone has to go to first for the first out of the inning. The runner is in scoring position with 1 out for Toronto in the third as the Blue Jays look to add to a 2-0 lead.
There are a lot of managers who like to run 3-1 and 2-0, but I think with the power hitter up there, I do not think that that's a good running count. I think it's an offensive situation, and you ought to give the hitter a chance to choose his pitch in that situation. By sending the runner, it may make him, regardless of his experience, a little too anxious.
Dave Winfield struck out his first time up. If you're just joining us, Winfield today celebrating his 41st birthday. And on September 24th at Baltimore, Dave Winfield drove in 4 runs. Over the 100 RBI mark for the 8th time in his career. He's the oldest man in Major League history ever to drive in 100 runs in a season.
Not only is he the only 40-year-old to have 100 or more RBIs, but nobody 39 years old has done it. Ty Cobb was 38 years, 7 months back in 1925 when he did it. 38 years and 9 months. And then it goes down to Ernie Banks, Babe Ruth.
Winfield looking for a couple more, but that one will stay in the park for Gladden, just in front of the track. Alomar tagged, went about a third of the way toward third base before retreating.
That's where pitchers, especially right-handers, try to pitch Winfield inside because of his long arms. Try to get him around the trademark of the bat. I guess the sweet part of the bat starts about 4 or 5 inches above the trademark. And when pitchers are hitting the trademark, as they say, then they're keeping the ball off the fat part of the bat, and that's what Haas did then.
John Olerud bounced back to the mound his first time up. 1-0 on Olerud. He's batting with 2 outs. Alomar at second. In the bottom of the third, the Blue Jays lead 2-0. Oakland continues to lead 3-1, and they've loaded the bases with 2 outs in the bottom of the second. Ricky Bonas, the Milwaukee starter, knocked out of that ball game in Oakland. James Austin, a right-hander, has come on in relief in the second. Phillips on the run in left center. Phillips makes the running catch. We've played 3 under the roof of the Sky Dome, and the Blue Jays lead 2-0.
This game summary is sponsored by MasterCard.
The only scoring in this game to this point, the 2-run homer in the first inning by Joe Carter. Juan Guzman has been perfect through 3 innings. He's struck out 5 of the 9 batters he has faced. A Toronto win here today or a Milwaukee loss, and the Brewers now trail 4-1, would give Toronto the American League East title outright. The magic number is 1. We saw the first pitch of the inning thrown by Guzman, ball to Tony Phillips, and now the count level at 1 ball and 1 strike to the center fielder who started the ball game by popping out to the third baseman Kelly Gruber. Has played a lot of center field lately. Milt Kyler, with such a fine rookie season last year, out with a leg injury for much of this season. Today, Phillips making his 19th start in center field. He's also been the starting DH 34 times, the second baseman 50 times, the third baseman 12 times, the left fielder 14 times, and the right fielder 28 times. He's also parked cars at Tiger Stadium, sold pizza in keeping with the theme of that franchise,
and delivers luggage to the room. See that crouch of Tony Phillips. If a pitcher is picking up a catcher's target, you don't worry about how a guy crouches. Ricky Henderson of the Oakland Athletics, a similar crouch. But if a pitcher's picking up the target, you're throwing to the glove and not to the hitter.
Well hit to left. Maldonado drifts back and makes the play. 10 up and 10 down for Detroit. In that ball game at Oakland, the Oakland run in the bottom of the second scored on a bases-loaded walk to Ruben Sierra. They've now gone to the top of the third. Oakland leading Milwaukee 4-1. With 1 out, the batter is Lou Whitaker. Bounced to second his first time up. Guzman misses low.
Tell you, Sean, we have seen the Blue Jays in past years, and I detect a certain amount of confidence with this ball club that has not been here the past 3 times that they won it. They had a 3-game-to-1 lead against Kansas City in 1985. Kansas City came back and won 3. Oakland beat them 4 out of 5 in 1989. And then they lost last year to Minnesota in 5 games. But I think the Oakland Athletics are going to see a different brand of Blue Jay baseball this year in postseason play. If they make it.
There are the close calls, and you could add 1987 in the regular season when the The Blue Jays lost their last 7 games, including the season-ending series with Detroit. Changeup. 2-2 on Lou Whitaker.
And what happens is that if you have a year like 1987, they had the 3.5 game lead, lost their last 7 games. That follows the organization around it, follows the team around it. I mean, there are a lot of guys on this team that didn't even play on that 87 club.
Foul tipped into the mid of Borders. Guzman has retired 11 in a row to start the ball game, 6 of them via the strikeout.
But if the Blue Jays do lose today and Milwaukee somehow comes back to win, what a matchup that would be tomorrow on the same date 5 years later. Jimmy Key and Frank Tanana.
They were the pitchers in 1987 in the final game of the season, when the Tigers beat the Blue Jays 1-0 on October 4th of '87. Frank Tanana pitched a 6-hitter. Jimmy Key a 3-hitter. Both pitched complete games, but Larry Herndon's second-inning home run was the only run of the game.
Yeah, it was a fence scraper, too. It came down and scraped the paint on the back of the fence, and Larry Herndon's the hitting instructor with the Detroit Tigers now.
Fryman had a tough first at bat in striking out. He hasn't looked good on the first 2 pitches here in the 4th. Crowd looking for another 1-2-3 inning. Appeal down to first. No swing, says Mark Johnson. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs in the top of the 4th. 2-0 Toronto on the first inning home run by Joe Carter. Guzman looking for strikeout number 7. Just missed.
I think Cito Gaston should be happy now that Guzman's slider has returned. He has thrown some wicked sliders today, and that's got to make Gaston happy.
Inside, he fouled it off. Still 2-2.
Hey?
No doubt. The 2-2 struck him out. Guzman has retired the first 12 Tigers, 7 strikeouts for the right-hander after 3.5. North of the border, 2-0 Blue Jays.
CBS Sports presents Major League Baseball. Today's game is brought to you by Rolaids. Rolaids spells 100% relief. Canon CJ10 full-color copier, printer, scanner. And by Toyota. Toyota, I love what you do for me.
Welcome back to the Sky Dome in Toronto, the 67th home sellout of the year on hand, watching the Toronto Blue Jays trying to clinch the American League East, and they lead Detroit 2-0 after 3.5 innings. Juan Guzman has pitched 4 perfect innings. Joe Carter provided the only runs in this ball game with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 1st. Sean McDonough and Tim McCarver, happy to have you with us as the Blue Jays bat in the 4th, and Candy Maldonado up there with a count of 1-0. He was called out on strikes his first time up. Facing David Haas. Breaking ball just missed. Maldonado, then Kelly Gruber and Pat Borders. Hitters 6, 7, and 8 in the Blue Jay batting order. Broken battle looper on the move. Fryman will make the catch in shallow center. For those of you who might have tuned in a bit late, let's take you back to the bottom of the 1st inning, and the only runs in this game off the bat of Joe Carter with Devon White aboard. In the
Everybody has a tendency to think that any pitch that's hit out of the ballpark was a mistake. That was no mistake. He just hit it 440 feet.
Another pretty good good pitch. Bounced for a base hit by Kelly Gruber. He's 2 for 2.
I think the prevailing thought, even among some baseball players and pitchers and pitching coaches and general managers, is that if a pitch is hit for a long way, that it's automatically a mistake. Well, hitters pop up mistakes, and they hit good pitches. Joe Carter hit a good pitch in the first inning, and Kelly Gruber just hit a good pitch.
5 hits now for the Blue Jays. They've had at least 1 hit in every inning. Pat Borders a double play ball to Livingstone. Tough throw to handle for Whitaker, but he did, and he turned it 5-4-3, and that ends the inning. After 4 in Toronto, the Blue Jays lead 2-0.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of Major League Baseball.
Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver back in Toronto, where the Blue Jays lead 2-0 as we head to the 5th. During this half inning, we're going to take you around the horn in the American League. And our congratulations to George Brett of the Kansas City Royals, who on Wednesday night in Anaheim became the 18th player in Major League history to reach 3,000 career hits, and he did it in style with 4 hits that night against the Angels.
Robin Yount had done it earlier this year, attained it. Just think of that, 3,000 hits, only 18 players in the history of the game.
Cecil Fielder was called out on strikes his first time up. Guzman perfect through 4 innings, misses low and away. And the count is 2-0 on Fielder. He'll be followed by Tettleton and Deere, the middle third of the order. Only 2 balls out of the infield against Guzman through the first 4 innings. But the Tigers on the verge of their first base runner as Fielder is ahead 3-0. Tigers have their first base runner, the lead man on in the 5th. And the scary thing about this Tiger ball club, Tim, no matter how smoothly things go along for you, if you're the opponent, you know with the home run bats in the Tiger lineup, and they've had 182 round trippers this year, in a moment they can be right back in the ballgame.
That's why a walk is so dangerous. You walk a guy like Fielder, a solo home run doesn't tie it, but a 2-run homer does. Fielder has not attempted a stolen base this year. That's why John Olerud is playing behind Cecil at first base.
5 straight balls to start the inning. This has happened with Guzman from time to time this season. He'll have stretches where he is virtually unhittable, and in some outings it comes apart for him rather quickly.
From a catcher's standpoint, the one thing you don't want him to do is to slow down. Keep his rhythm quickly. Or quick.
He has been encouraged by pitching coach Galen Cisco and manager Cito Gaston in the past to work at a brisk pace. He does have the tendency to work very slowly, particularly when things aren't going well.
And that's why sometimes it's the worst thing to do. A lot of pitching coaches will tell the catcher to go out and talk to him. That's the worst thing you can do to a guy like Guzman. Do the opposite. Speed him up.
7 straight balls to start the inning. 3-0 on Tettleton.
Because, see, if you slow down with a young pitcher, what you're doing, in effect, is you're creating more doubt. Now Galen Cisco's going to go out there. He's the pitching coach, and he's going to talk to Guzman and clear things up. He might be telling him about his pace. I've always thought that one of the worst things you could do to a pitcher or to a hitter during the game is talk about mechanics. Tell him that he's dropping his shoulder, keep your elbow up, or any of that stuff. You can't worry about your mechanics during the game, but you work on the mental part of a pitcher, and working rapidly and working quickly is more or less the mental part of pitching. But it certainly has helped Guzman in the past. The one thing you don't want him to do is to become too lethargic and slow down the pace.
There is no action in the Toronto bullpen. Blue Jays leading 2-0. Guzman is struggling for the first time today here in the 5th inning. He walked the leadoff man Fielder on 4 pitches. And now he's behind Mickey Tettleton, 3-0. With the dangerous Rob Deere on deck. 65th pitch is ball 4 high. He's thrown 8 balls here in the 5th. For a college football update, well, let's check in with Pat O'Brien in New York.
All right, Sean, thank you. Number 3 against number 2, Florida State at Miami. Florida State with a chance to tie. 8 ticks on the clock. Dan Mowry's 39-yard attempt, wide right. Miami goes on to win it, and we welcome those viewers. Back to you, Sean.
Something about those last-second field goals for Florida State. Just won't go through for them.
That's what Detroit needs now. Field goal. Make it 3-2.
Chance to get it with Rob Deere at the plate. 32 home runs for Deere. A home run would put the Tigers on top. There's the first strike of the inning. 0-1 on Deere. And he's been hot. He was the American League Player of the Week last week. Last week he had .323 with 3 home runs. Guzman ahead of him 0-2.
So that is that slider that Cito Gaston was talking about before the game. I mean, that is nasty. Like a gyroscope coming up there. It's held so tightly, and the spin on it looks like a Steve Carlton type slider.
2-0 Toronto in the top of the 5th with the Tigers at first and second and nobody out. Livingstone on deck to follow Deere. The 0-2 pitch, he struck him out. Blew him away with the fastball. His 8th. He threw 3 straight strikes to Deere after 8 balls to open the inning.
Guzman has recorded 10 strikeouts as his career high 4 times. Twice last year, twice this year. If he continues at this pace, he will shatter that mark. He has 8 already in 4 1/3.
Fielder at second, Tettleton at first. 1 out. Scott Livingstone bounced out his first time up. Little chopper foul. Well, you have to wonder if stamina is a problem for Guzman since returning from the disabled list on August 29. He was out for 25 days with muscle soreness behind his right rib cage. In his 8 starts since returning on the 29th of August, he's only averaged 4 2/3 innings per start. He's worked 4 1/3 here today. Chopped down to first. Olerud gets 1, and that's all they'll get. They erase Tettleton. 3-6 to play at second for the second out of the inning. Now the Tigers have Fielder at third and Livingstone aboard at first on the fielder's choice.
Did you notice how deliberate Olerud was on his throw to second base? He didn't want to throw it away. He realized that there was little chance for 2. And watch how deliberate he is, making the throw over Mickey Tettleton. And Manuel Lee makes the play. It's almost like a quarterback when he sees a split end or a tight end open, wide open. They rarely see them wide open. It's that deliberate little soft throw. That was Olerud's tight throw to second.
Dan Gladden, the hitter. Blazing fastball for strike 1. Gladden struck out swinging against Guzman his first time up. No contest on those 2 pitches. Guzman struck out 1 in the first. He fanned 2 in the second, 2 more in the third, 2 in the fourth. His second strikeout of the 5th would get him out of the inning. The 0-2 pitch. He struck him out. 9 strikeouts for Juan Guzman. He is not allowed a hit through 5 innings. Halfway through the ball game, 2-0 Blue Jays. to go in the bottom of the 5th. Manuel Lee leads off against David Haas and takes a ball. Moments ago, Dave Winfield came out of the Blue Jay dugout to acknowledge a standing ovation from the crowd as Blue Jay management on the message board in center field put up happy birthday number 41 to Dave Winfield. You can hear in the background now they're singing happy birthday to him.
Imagine how many candles this crowd could blow out. The Blue Jays will go over 4 million again tomorrow, right?
On a pace to draw 4,027,000 fans. They will be their 67th home sellout. When they haven't sold out this year, they've been very close. Haas got the borderline strike. Voltaggio pondered it for a moment. He's been right around the plate with most of the pitches to Lee, but that's the first called strike, and it's 3-1. The 3-1 pitch. What was wrong with that? What David Haas wants to know as he looks in at Vic Voltaggio.
Talked a lot about how umpires do not give any more high strikes. A lot of times a ball's right at the belt, and you got to wonder where that pitch was. I remember before the season started, then Commissioner Fay Vincent said that he was going to try to encourage the umpires to call more high strikes this year, but that ball's right at the belt. That's
that was
not
right
high.
down the middle.
Right down the pipe.
Second time Lee has walked. Both walks Haas has issued. Gone to the number 9 batter. White can run. Safe. Trying to move the runner along, and it's bonus time for Devon White as he beat out the bunt, first and second, and nobody out.
There was hesitation on Haas's and Livingstone's part. And because of the hesitation, watch Haas. He thought he was going to get it, and now Livingstone makes the play too late to first base. There's only one guy who could field that ball, or who should field that ball, and that's the third baseman.
So White's 2 for 3 following the bunt single. 6 hits for the Blue Jays. They lead 2-0 with a chance to add to that here in the bottom of the 5th. Tigers looking for a bunt from Roberto Alomar. He squares. That's a good bunt. Haas to Whitaker. It's a sacrifice. 1-4. 2 men in scoring position with 1 out. And the big duo of Carter and Winfield coming up. Carter's going to have to wait a moment as Sparky Anderson is on his way to the mound.
Sparky Anderson, for probably the 50,000th time in his managing career, didn't step on the line. He is one guy who thinks he is very superstitious, and once he walks back, he will not step on the line. Watch him go over the first base line. See, he didn't even look. He's got it down. He didn't even look then.
On the way out,
he had to look on the way out. But coming back, he didn't even look.
Undoubtedly, they were discussing how to handle this situation with first base open, and they've decided that they will pitch around Carter, who hit the 2-run homer in the first inning for the only runs of this ball game, and they'll pitch to Dave Winfield with the bases loaded.
If you have a strikeout pitcher, you pitch to Carter. But because Haas isn't a strikeout pitcher, you got to try to get the double play ground ball. Coming into today's game, Haas had 26 strikeouts in 57 innings. It's about 2 every 9 innings or so, close to 3. So he's a contact hitter, and right now he's looking for a double play grounder from Winfield.
And another standing ovation for the birthday boy. Ago, in a newspaper article here in Toronto, Winfield encouraged these fans to become more vocal, that the crowd here is too passive. But today they have responded and then some. They've been roaring with the first pitch of the ball game. Haas will work from the windup with the bases loaded and 1 out. 5th inning, 2-0 Blue Jays. Winfield on his 41st birthday is struck out and fly to left. Started the inning with a walk. Devon White reached on a bunt single. He's at second. Joe Carter was intentionally walked. He's at first. Winfield has 1 grand slam this year, and as you saw, he's at 500 with the bases full, 5 for 10. That goes flying past third base coach Rich Hacker. The off-speed pitch had Winfield fooled badly. 1-2 the count.
Well, if you fool him badly on that pitch, you not only throw the same pitch, but you throw it a little farther outside to further the point.
The 1-2 pitch. Shot to deep short. They'll have to hurry. No chance to turn the double play and a run scores. Lee across to make it 3-0 Blue Jays. The RBI for Winfield, number 108.
Haas tried to go outside with a breaking ball, but it wasn't as sharp as the one before. Nor was it outside enough. Winfield with very, very long arms, 6'6". It's not outside enough. I think had you teased him a little bit farther outside, you may have gotten him to swing and miss. But when you're dealing with the corner, Winfield can hit those pitches.
Very important batter in the ball game is John Olerud with another runner at third base and 2 down. Mentioned only once this year have the Tigers come from 3 runs or more down to win a ball game. That was back in May. Even though they lead the majors in runs scored, they don't come back from this type of a deficit. Olerud's 0 for 2 and up there with a count of 2 balls and no strikes. Close pitch, called a strike. 2-1. Out in Oakland, Milwaukee has scored a run to cut the Oakland lead to 4-2. Dave Nilsson, the catcher, with the RBI. They're now in the top of the 4th inning at Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Oakland 4 and Milwaukee 2. Has fallen behind Olerud 3-1. That's ball 4 on the 3rd walk of the inning. Bases loaded again, and the 7th batter of the inning is coming up. With a chance to break this one wide open in the 5th inning. But he won't do it against David Haas. Sparky Anderson on his way to the mound. It's the 2nd trip of the inning. Consequently, there will be a pitching change. With the score, the Blue Jays 3 and the Tigers 0. We'll return to Toronto in a moment.
This relief break is sponsored by Rolaids.
David Haas disappointed as he departed after 4 2/3 innings. 3 runs allowed at this point. He also leaves 3 base runners on the paths for the new Tiger pitcher, right-hander Mark Leiter.
Mark Leiter's 35th appearance of the year. He has started 14 games, so he's kind of a swing man for Sparky Anderson, Billy Moffitt, the pitching coach. Guess Mark is happy to be pitching. He didn't pitch in 1986, 7, or 8 because of injuries, missing 3 years of prime time. Released by Baltimore, signing with the Yankees.
Dennis Eckersley is going to be the Rolaids reliever of the year in the American League. But what a race in the National League between Lee Smith of St. Louis and Doug Jones of the Astros, separated by only 1 point. Out in Oakland, the Athletics and Brewers now separated by 3 runs. The 3-run lead has been restored as Mike Bordick has hit a solo home run in the bottom of the 4th inning for Oakland. You might have heard the roar in the background a moment ago as Leiter was warming up. They showed the Bordick home run on the screen here in center field. Maldonado, the 7th batter of the inning. He hasn't fared well this season with the bases full. He was 0 for 2 today against Haas. Leiter's first pitch, a strike on the inside corner. Devon White is at third. Dave Winfield at second. John Olerud at first. 1 run in, the only hit in this inning, the bunt single by White when he was attempting to sacrifice. Foul tip into the mid of Kettleton. 0-2, the count on Maldonado.
Matter of fact, the Blue Jays have plated 1 run this inning and a chance to blow it open, and they haven't gotten the ball out of the infield yet.
Leiter perfect in this situation. Not surrendered a hit with the bases loaded this year. One and 2. 3 home runs today for Oakland by Harold Baines, Mark McGwire, and now Mike Bordick. The 1-2 pitch. Late swing and a foul off to the right. Sparky Anderson, the winningest manager in Tiger history.
He was also the winningest manager in Cincinnati Reds history.
Those Blue Jays look like they're ready to celebrate now. Early in the 5th inning. Pitch just missed. And the count is 2-2.
They've got 2 things going for them. A 3-run lead in this game, and Milwaukee trails by 3.
Struck him out. Leiter comes on to put out the fire. The Blue Jays get only 1. They leave the bases loaded. They've now stranded 6. We'll return to the Sky Dome after this word from your local station. The first pitch of the 6th just fouled away by Mark Carrion for strike 1. He's the number 9 batter in DH. The Tigers looking for their first hit of the ball game as they bat in the 6th inning against Juan Guzman. Worked the first 4 innings in perfect fashion, 12 up and 12 down. Struggled at the start of the last inning, walked the first 2 hitters, but emerged from the inning unscathed, helped in large part by the strikeout. 2 more last inning, 9 through 5 innings. And on the verge of getting Carrion again. Base hit. That's the first Tiger hit of the ball game.
We talked earlier about mistakes that Joe Carter hit a good pitch in the first inning for the 2-run homer. Now this is a mistake to Mark Carrion. High and out over the plate with a count of ball and 2 strikes. Watch where the pitch is. That ball just said, hit me, and he did.
In big blinking lights.
Hazard warning.
Guzman working with a 3-0 lead in the 6th. Top of the order in Tony Phillips. Good fastball for a strike. Phillips 0 for 2 today. He's popped to third and flied to left. Tim mentioned earlier, Tony Phillips leads the major leagues in runs scored with 114, and in large part to his patience at the plate and high walk total. Ron LaFleur is the only Detroit player in the last 50 years to lead the majors in runs scored. That was in 1977.
Looked like Pat Borders took one off his right hand. See how the glove goes one way and the hand tries to go behind him, but unfortunately for Pat, it didn't go far enough behind him, and he was nicked on the right hand.
0-2 on Phillips. Lou Whitaker is on deck. Shallow fly to center. One out. For an update on the ball game between Milwaukee and Oakland, here's Pat.
Sean, besides being a beautiful day in the Bay Area, it's home run day in Oakland. There's Mike Bordick's third on the season. 3 home runs for Oakland, and they lead 5-2 in the fourth. Back to Sean and Tim.
Tim, interesting to read in the Toronto paper here yesterday, a column quoting Red Sox coach Don Zimmer saying, hey, don't forget about Mike Bordick when you're casting your ballot for most valuable player in the American League. Lou Whitaker fouled the first pitch away. Obviously, Bordick probably won't get a lot of votes and won't win the award, but he has been extremely valuable to the Athletics this year.
One of the many, many surprises for the Oakland Athletics. With Walter Weiss out earlier in the year, Bordick taking over at short, and not only doing the job with the glove, but with the bat, too.
For a while, leading the league in hitting. Lou Whitaker behind 0-2. The Blue Jays lead 3-0. If they win this game, they are the champions of the American League East in 1992. And they'll play Oakland in the American League Championship Series beginning Wednesday. Oh, 2 pitch. Low and away. Dug out of the dirt by Borders.
Sometimes your most valuable players are not necessarily the guys that it would be tougher to lose. A guy like Pat Borders, for instance, he's not the most valuable player on the Toronto Blue Jays, but he would be as key in injury to get just like Greg Olson was in the Atlanta Braves. Not the MVP, but the toughest guy to fill the spot for.
Whitaker hit it hard and deep with a well foul into the upper deck.
Greg Olson of the Atlanta Braves broke his right ankle, and he played all but 1 inning in postseason play last year. That's in 14 games, and he will be not be available to the Atlanta Braves when the playoff starts on Tuesday night.
Just missed. Damon Berryhill will be the man in the spotlight behind the plate for Atlanta. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series gets the postseason started this year. And it comes your way here on CBS Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern Time from Atlanta. Whitaker at the plate, Fryman on deck. 3-0 Toronto in the 6th. A pop-up in shallow center. White. 2 away.
A lot of times when a team plays the role of spoiler in a situation like this, it's kind of fun from your standpoint of looking at the other team and kind of watching them squirm. Because most of the time when you go out on a big league field, the pressure is as intense for both clubs. Not so in a situation like this, obviously, but you're around the Toronto Blue Jays, and it's like another day at the office for these guys. They're very, very confident, very calm, and it's not the calm and confidence that's trying to impress anybody. You get the feeling that it's within themselves and it's legitimate.
Genuine.
Yeah.
Fryman has already fanned twice this afternoon. He's on the hook here 0-2. was a humorous sign, but I think you should have to put a little more effort into a sign to get it on national TV.
Only 5 letters.
That looked like it took about 30 seconds.
They have.
The 0-2. In the air to right. Harmlessly so. Carter is there. The leadoff single does not hurt Juan Guzman. It was the first hit for Detroit. The Blue Jays hoping to do it themselves without any help from Oakland. Lead 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Sellout crowd here at Sky Dome. Certainly the Blue Jays worthy of applause through 5.5 innings this afternoon. They lead 3-0. A 2-run homer in the first inning by Joe Carter. Blue Jays scratched for their other run in the 5th. Only 1 hit in the 5th inning. A run scored on a fielder's choice ground ball by Dave Wingfield. Guzman has only allowed 1 hit. Reliever Mark Leiter in with a first pitch strike to Kelly Gruber. Gruber 2 for 2 today with a couple of singles. Leiter will face Gruber, Borders, and Lee, the bottom third of the order, in the bottom of the 6th. Livingstone was even with the bag with the first couple of pitches to Gruber. Now that the count's 0-2, he's well behind the third base bat. Fryman throws him out. Let's continue our tour around the horn in the American League. A couple of noteworthy accomplishments. First, Cleveland Indians second baseman Carlos Baerga, the first American League second baseman ever, with 20 homers, 100 runs batted in, 200 hits, and a 300 batting average, all in the same year. These are players just now starting to get his due.
Cleveland Indians with a terrific second half since the All-Star game, one of the dominating teams in the American League, along with Milwaukee and Toronto.
At Borders out on the pop-up to the second baseman Whitaker, 2 away on the Toronto 6. Another accomplishment worth noting, that of Brady Anderson of the Baltimore Orioles, the 8th player in Major League history to hit 20 home runs, steal 50 bases, and drive in 75 runs in a season. He's a guy who might warrant some MVP consideration from the balloters. Had a particularly strong first half. Manuel Lee.
Had they won it, I think he certainly would have warranted more consideration. Hard to believe that at this point in the season, only 1 no-hitter has been pitched in the major leagues. And that by Kevin Gross of the Los Angeles Dodgers. A rather unlikely candidate for his first no-hitter.
About the only bright spot in this 92 season for Los Angeles.
Glum. Woo.
2-1 on Manuel Lee. We talked about his newfound patience this season. He's walked twice today and has scored a run. Late swing. It's 2-2. You can really sense a difference in the crowd here. They were raucous early on. Now that the Blue Jays are creeping closer toward the late innings and the possibility of the title, there's that eerie silence of anticipation that has taken over.
Yeah, that energy has been turned into apprehensiveness, pensiveness, wanting to get it over with so they can start buying tickets for Wednesday night. So many frustrations through which they have gone, however. But some of that rap unfair on this franchise. I mean, after all, their first year in 1977, 8 years later, they're in the playoffs. 4 years later, another playoffs. Last year, another one. They just haven't been to the series yet.
Nice play by a fan in the second row. He came down to the front row and threw a few elbows to get the souvenir. His family likes him. The rest of the people in the area aren't that impressed. The 2-2. Little lob out of play in the other direction. That guy's really going to have to run and throw some elbows to get that one. Balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs, and the bases are empty. In the home half of the 6th, Toronto leads 3-0. Little looper and a base hit over the head of the third baseman Livingstone. Emmanuel Lee continues to enjoy a perfect day. He's aboard with 2 outs in the 6th. That's the 7th Blue Jay hit, the first at the expense of Mark Leiter.
An inside-out swing by Manny Lee. He drags the hands through the hitting area. The bat head follows, and a little lob in between the lines to left field.
Lee not much of a threat to run anyway, and even less so with the hamstring problem. Devon White at the plate. The ball high and away. White continues hot. He extended his hit streak to 6 games today with a 2-for-3 performance. 2 singles. He scored on the Carter home run back in the 1st. Lee with 6 stolen bases. He's been thrown out twice.
Might say if he has a bad hamstring, why is Cecil Fielder holding him on, and why did Leiter throw over there? They don't know how bad it is. Sparky Anderson taking no chances here, but that does open up the hole on the right side with Fielder holding the runner on and Whitaker straight away at second base. You see the big hole on the right side for Devon White.
Leiter's 1-1. Off-speed pitch missed high. 2 balls and a strike. Leiter's brother Al is here in the park today and wearing the uniform of the opponent. He's a pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Traded for Jesse Barfield, mid-80s, from the Yankees.
The 2-1. Fouled right back to the backstop. Certainly be a boost to the Blue Jays if they do make it to the postseason to have Devon White swinging a hot bat. He's really had a roller coaster ride the last few years of his career. Last season as first as a Blue Jay, most impressive. This year just the 246 batting average coming in, and as we noted during his last at-bat, that average has been steadily on the rise. Looking for his 13th 3-hit game of the season, and into a full count now with 2 outs. That means Manuel Lee will be off with the pitch. Takes off. White sends it down to Fielder. That ends the inning. On to the 7th at Skydome in Toronto. 3-0 Blue Jays.
CBS Sports presents Major League Baseball. Today's game is brought to you by Mr. Goodwrench, your GM service expert. Subway sandwiches and salads made fresh before your eyes. And by MasterCard, accepted at nearly 10 million places worldwide.
Juan Guzman working with a 3-0 lead. As he gets ready to face the Tigers in the 7th inning, he'll face the middle third of their order. And it's been a relatively easy ride through the first 6 innings for Guzman. He's thrown 90 pitches. The longest outing since coming off the disabled list on August 29th is 7 innings. That was September 15th here against Cleveland. Slider for a strike to Fielder, who was called out on strikes in the 2nd. Cecil was the first Tiger base runner of the game when he walked leading off the 5th. Guzman's allowed only 1 hit. There was a single to Mark Carey on last inning. He has walked 2. They came back-to-back to Fielder and Tettleton in the 5th inning. Very high pop-up. Old Road. 1 out. conclusion of today's game, Tim McCarver and I will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in the player's name to the Special Olympics. Right now, you'd have to think the man at the center of the diamond is the leading contender for that honor.
It's a laydown. No low contendere. Guzman. Of course, Chevy's players of games have been lost in later innings.
Mickey Tettleton, the bat. 1-1 the count. Strikeouts have tailed off for Guzman. He has 9, but he had all 9 of them through the first 5 innings. Didn't strike out in the last inning.
They tailed off for Guzman, but not for the Detroit Tigers. Last season, Cecil Fielder, Mickey Tettleton, Travis Fryman, and Rob Deere combined to strike out 606 times, the highest total ever by 4 teammates. And this year, they could come in second place.
Tettleton lines one to right. Carter made an awkward catch. He started back and then had to come in to catch it just off the turf for the second out of the 7th.
With the 5 strikeouts that Deere, Tettleton, Fielder, and Fryman have today, and remember, that's the meat of the Tiger order, the 4 have struck out 559 times this year. So they won't catch last year's strikeout total. But they do tie the Seattle Mariners back in 1986. Presley, Tartabull, Bradley, and Ken Phelps had 559 strikeouts, the second most by 4 teammates in the history of the game.
We should note that was Phil Bradley, not Scott Bradley, both of whom toiled for the Mariners in recent years. Deere to left center. Maldonado started back, and now he's in to make the catch, and the Tigers go in order. 7th inning stretch for the sellout crowd here in Toronto. The Blue Jays, perhaps on the verge of the championship, leading 3-0.
What do you want?
The 7th inning stretch tradition here at Sky Dome in Toronto. Okay, Blue Jays.
They take stretch literally up here during their games, don't they?
Yes, they do. Stretching the line, haven't quite figured out how to do that dance, but they have the people out on the field that you can follow, but it's always a little late.
We'll work on that before the series, should they make it. The extra stretching on Monday.
We could use it, that's for sure. Mark Leiter working to Roberto Alomar. Roberto says that was not a strike. 1 for 2 is Roberto with a 3rd inning single. He sacrificed to set up a run his last time up. Blue Jays tied ahead with 3-0 lead in the bottom of the 7th. If they win this game, they win the American League East title outright. It doesn't matter what happens in Oakland, where the Athletics still lead the Milwaukee Brewers 5-2 in the bottom of the 5th. Livingstone to the rail, no play. On the 3 previous occasions that the Blue Jays have won the American League East, they have clinched at home in 85, 89, and 91. Inside a ball. We got mixed response when we asked some of the players and manager Cito Gaston before the game today. They would have preferred to have won it last night with Milwaukee winning late night, and the Blue Jays were already out of uniform and off to wherever they were watching that game. Or if they prefer to come out here today and win it. Most of the players seem to say they prefer to come out today and win it and have the chance to celebrate and jump around, although they wouldn't have minded Milwaukee winning it last night. Certainly, Cito Gaston, as the manager said, I certainly would have preferred that Milwaukee get it done last night. But the players' attitude all along has been, we keep winning. It doesn't matter what Milwaukee does, and that's just about been what they have done.
That's when the yeah buts come in there. Yeah, you know, you take it when you can get it. After 160 games, not even a thought of backing into it or anything like that. But I guess from a pride standpoint, you do want to win it in front of your home crowds rather than having another team lose it so you can clinch it, or lose a game so you can clinch the division.
The lead man is on as Alomar draws a walk, the first thrown by Mark Leiter. The Blue Jays with a 3-0 lead. They scored 2 runs in the first inning on a Joe Carter homer, got the other in the 5th on a fielder's choice by Dave Winfield. Juan Guzman has pitched a 1-hitter through 7. Joe Carter, the 2-run homer, then a ground out in the 3rd. He was intentionally walked in the 5th. Alomar back safely. He has 47 stolen bases, and he has only been thrown out 9 times trying to steal.
I think if there were different types of hitters behind him, he'd probably have more stolen bases. But often you're reluctant to run with power hitters behind you like Carter and Winfield.
Blue Jays have an excellent success ratio as a team, 126 steals collectively, and they've only been thrown out 39 times. Showing a pretty good move to first. Alomar bluffed towards second as Carter took a strike.
What that bluff does, it gets the catcher out of his crouch, and on a low pitch, it could block the umpire off. But the other thing that it does, if you've got a right-handed hitter up there, it can be very disconcerting to that hitter. Often, if you're bluffing off of first, you should do it with a left-handed batter up there.
No bluff this time. Alomar on the run. Pendleton's throw not in time. Number 48 for Alomar. That ties him with Ricky Henderson of Oakland for 5th in the American League in stolen bases.
And often what a catcher has to do with the pitch to put his arm in the proper position to throw the ball determines whether a guy is going to steal the base or not. Watch what Pendleton has to do. Reach inside, bring the ball all the way back, transfer, and make the throw. It was a good, strong throw, but you just don't have that much time with a guy like Alomar running. He beats it easily.
Robbie in scoring position with nobody out in the 7th. 3-0 Toronto. Carter to left. Alomar is tagging. Gladden the catch. Alomar won't try it. He's at second with 1 out.
Alomar at second with 1 out, and you're the runner at second base. You have a lead. It is a worthy chance to try to steal third. Alomar very proficient at stealing third base. And with 1 out, that's the time to do it.
5 times this year, Alomar has stolen second and third base in the same inning.
The theory being that with 2 out and you're on second base, stealing third, you're not that much better off on third base. It's not worth the risk. And if you're on second base with nobody out, then you have a tendency to let the hitter push you across rather than to take the chance. With 1 out, that's when you try to get to third so you can score on something other than a base hit.
Sparky Anderson will make a pitching change as Mark Leiter departs with the score. Toronto 3 and Detroit nothing. We'll be back in just a moment. Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver back at the Sky Dome in Toronto, where the Blue Jays lead 3-0, and the Tigers have made a pitching change to bring their third pitcher of the afternoon to the mound. He is left-hander Mike Munoz.
They've made a change for Munoz often this year. As a matter of fact, Munoz leads the Tigers in appearances with 65. Mike Henneman, their ace reliever, has 24 saves, and he leads the Tigers in that department. So Mike Munoz in the game, and a great line from our high first cameraman, Kim Elston. When asked, we were talking between innings, and Sean and I saying, well, why would you bring the left-hander in to pitch to Winfield? And Kim said, because it's his birthday. What a great line.
But the correct answer is because they're going to intentionally walk Winfield and pitch to the left-handed swinging Oldroyd.
How can you intentionally walk somebody on their birthday? I mean, come on.
I mean, Dave doesn't consider this a gift. Alomar steals third. Caught them napping while issuing the intentional walk, and the crowd loves it.
Speaking of gifts, how about that? I don't think I have ever seen that. On an intentional walk, Roberto Alomar stealing third, his 49th of the year. And the sixth time, as Sean, you were saying, the sixth time that he has stolen second and third in one inning. Wow.
So now he's at third. Winfield at first after the completion of the intentional walk. Sparky Anderson now ordered 87 intentional walks this year, most by far in the American League. The next high is 56 by the Boston Red Sox. The Tigers have intentionally passed 87 with the 2 today. John Olerud takes a strike in the outside corner. He's 0 for 2 with a walk his last time up. Sparky setting up the double play, but now if they don't turn it, a run's going to score. And Alomar been at second, that would not be the case. Breaking ball in the dirt, blocked by Tettleton. The ball and a strike on Olerud.
You can really, if you're a manager, you can have it both ways on the artificial surface. The ball gets to the infielders very quickly, much quicker than on the grass surface, of course. And you can play your infield halfway, and if the ball's not hit sharply to you, you can go home to try to get the runner if you determine it's not a double play ball.
2 balls, 1 strike.
Teams, however, who do not have a home field with the artificial surface are less adept at playing in double play situations. You saw Fryman and Whitaker both back at second.
Munoz misses again. They summoned the lefty to pitch to Olerud, but it hasn't mattered much in John Olerud's career if the pitcher is right-handed or left-handed. He's a career .270 hitter against right-handers and .269 against lefties. The 3-1. Bounce to second. Could be 2. Fryman turns it. 4-6-3. The double play ends the inning, and the strategy pays off for Sparky Anderson as the Blue Jays fail to score. We head to the 8th. The Fat Lady has warmed up. 3-0 Toronto.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
The only significant hit in this ball game, the 2-run homer by Joe Carter in the first inning, his 34th of the year. The other Toronto run scored on a fielder's choice by Dave Winfield. Juan Guzman started out on fire, 4 perfect innings. Through 7, he's only allowed 1 hit. The magic number for the Blue Jays is 1. They'll wrap up the American League East title outright with a win here this afternoon over Detroit, and they lead 3-0 as the Tigers come up in the 8th. Guzman at 9 Ks, but he's been there for a while. He hasn't had one in the last 2 innings. Livingstone with a pop-up. Playable. Gruber makes the running play. Nice play by Kelly Gruber. Join CBS Sports for exclusive coverage of the League Championship Series Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern. Tim and I will be in Atlanta for Game 1 of the National League as the East champion Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Braves in a rematch of last year's NLCS. That's Tuesday night here on CBS Sports at 8:30. Doug Drabek and John Smoltz, the pitching matchup for Game 1. Dan Gladden, a swing and a miss. He has already fanned twice. Strikeouts have vanished, but he is still mowing them down. Cito Gaston is glad to see the strikeouts back. He was talking about, because of the lack of the slider that Tim has been talking about throughout the game, the strikeouts have vanished for Guzman.
And if the strikeouts vanish, for the most part, his effectiveness goes. But because of that pitch right there, that slider, he has been able to be in complete control of this game today. On Dan Gladden. That's a pop-up. In foul ground with room, old room. 2-1. Power pitching comes in several categories. One is the strikeout, and the other is in the 8th inning. If you can get power hitters to hit the ball the other way, that's another sign of a power pitcher. And the 2 outs here in the 8th inning have been both outs hit the opposite field by the hitters in foul territory. The left-hander down the left field line, the right-hander down the right field line. So that means he's maintaining his power throughout the course of this game.
Mark Carrion. He is the only Tiger hit, a clean single to right field in the 6th inning. He was the leadoff batter in the 6th. 3-0. Blue Jays, top of the 8th. 2 outs and the bases are empty. 1-1 on Carrion. This is Guzman's longest outing since July 1st. He's gone 7 2/3. 50,412 the attendance here today. Another sellout. Hoping to watch Guzman and the Blue Jays clinch the East. Two and one. Fastball in the first 4 innings. Top of the 7th at Oakland, still 5-2 Athletics. We're in the top of the 8th here. This is pitch number 109 from Guzman. And the count is full with Carrion. Guzman has retired 8 in a row since Carrion's single leading off the 6th. Looked like an overthrow. Tried to put a little extra on it, and Carrion is aboard. The 3rd walk thrown by Juan. Tony Phillips digs in. 0 for 3 today. Obviously, this is putting the cart before the horse because Toronto hasn't clinched anything yet.
That's right.
But assuming that they do, difficult to bypass Guzman now as your Game 3 starter?
With his performance today, I'd say he will be the Game 3 starter next Saturday in Oakland if they win today.
Of course, the other option is Jimmy Key, who has won his last 5 starts.
And he'll be pitching tomorrow against Frank Tanana, but it will, if Toronto wins today, the game will be, for the most part, a meaningless game from a team concept.
Dirt, 1 ball and 1 strike. Following the walk to Carrion, Dwayne Ward started throwing in the Toronto pen under the eye of the watchful eye of bullpen coach John Sullivan. Cito Gaston can look on as well with the TV monitor just to his right.
And you take no chances in a game like this. Guzman with 1 complete game this year, 1 last year. The odds are against him finishing.
Just in the last few deliveries, he seemed to labor a bit. for strikeout number 10. The 1-2 pitch. Slapped out of play to the left. Should Phillips reach, the tying run would come to the plate. Lou Whitaker is on deck. 3-0 Toronto in the 8th inning. 2 outs, a runner at first, another 1-2 pitch in the dirt this time, gloved by Borders. Time requested by Phillips. Down the line, slicing foul. You could hear the collective sigh of relief as that ball drifted just to the foul side of the line.
Juan Guzman pitching like Cy Young today. And a sigh of relief from Cito Gaston, too.
Very well could have been the Cy Young Award winner this year had it not been for the injury. Tapped weekly foul. Oakland and Milwaukee have now gone to the bottom of the 7th in Oakland. The Athletics still leading 5-2. Cito Gaston not checking on that score or flipping the channel trying to find that game. He was conversing and looking with his bullpen.
Cito Gaston, one of 10 managers to take over in mid-season and win a division or pennant. He did it in 1989.
Trying to win his 3rd in 4 years. Phillips weakly down to first. Guzman stepped in front of Olerud, and that's a fitting way to end the inning. Guzman's done a lot of it himself this afternoon. Why not end the 8th in that fashion? Another step toward the AL East title for the Blue Jays as we go to the bottom of the 8th. 3-0 Toronto.